Thanks for tuning in to High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to all the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
This week we're reviewing the slasher that everyone is talking about, the one that tells the story from the antagonist's perspective, the one that made someone vomit during a screening, the one sitting with a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. We're talking about In a Violent Nature, which hits theaters this weekend. Today we're going to review it, and we're thrilled to have Ry Barrett, the killer in the film Johnny, here with us to talk about the movie. All that and more today on
High on Horror.
Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. All right, you hear that choo-choo, you know the drill. We're starting off with Strainwreck so that we can shake off the day's stress and worries and talk about horror movies. John, what do we got on the slab?
We got some cheetah piss.
Cheetah piss, okay.
Cheetah piss. Well, technically, I packed a cone, and I called it a Neapolitan? Because I had some leftover cluster funk.
Yeah, cluster funk,
you
that's
had
a good one.
whatever you had, I don't remember.
I don't even know what the shit is.
And then I topped it off with the cheetah piss, so we would taste the piss first.
So it's kind of like our own version of a kamikaze.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
almost
all right.
24% THC.
Damn.
A trifecta of quality strain. I didn't even do this on purpose, so apparently it's a mixture of 3 strains.
No shit.
Of Growing Passion and Cookie. So why does it say trifecta? Growing Passion and Cookies Fame. Cookies Fame.
Cookies
I've never
fan.
heard of that.
No, me neither.
Cheetah Piss crosses Lemonade, Gelato 42, and London Pound Cake 97. This
London
shit,
Pound Cake was good. I've had London Pound
bro,
Cake.
I am
That
so
shit is
confused.
good.
I'm going to read this again and tell me if this makes sense. A trifecta of quality strains from... Oh,
Trifecta.
I'm too high
yeah.
already. That's the name of the dispensary.
Okay.
So Cheetah Piss, the 3 it crosses, is Lemonade, Gelato 42, and London Pound Cake 97.
No, I remember my wife was obsessed with London Pound Cake. I had
haven't
gotten
had
like a quarter of that, and that shit was nice. That was really good.
While the name is an homage to famous old strain cat piss, see, look at that tying in. This movie's an homage to
Cat
slashers.
piss. Leave it to weed, man. It just the names. What you smoking? Smoking that cat piss?
The first time I ever heard a train wreck was on a late night show, and it was the dude who plays JP in Grandma's Boy.
Okay.
He said, like, he had his medical card, and he was like, weed has the most violent sounding names. Like, hey, I'm just
true.
trying to find something to put me to sleep here. Try this train wreck.
Or
What?
fuckface. There's weed called fuck. We've had it before, you know? Be like, what you doing? I'm going to calm down to some fuckface. What?
There isn't much in common with cat piss when it comes to the highs. As far as its terpene profile, cheetah piss is funky like cat piss, okay?
A lot of piss going on.
A lot of piss. Reminding consumers of those strains with weird, uncommon qualities. Oh, top feeling is aroused. Giggly and energetic. Negatives, no dry mouth. That's good.
No dry mouth,
Anxious,
okay.
paranoid, and dizzy.
Arousal, but no dry mouth. Okay.
Okay, and I always got to hit you with some reviews if I can find them. But this first one, there was 2 very short reviews.
Okay.
And the first one was like, always get when available.
All right.
This second one
Oh, God.
says it tastes like what I would imagine if you licked the inside of a belly button.
What the fuck?
I thought that was a good one.
What? Is that a good... Is that supposed to be a... Like,
I feel like it's a
feel like that's
terrible
an
review
insult.
followed by one that's saying you need to absolutely get this.
yeah, I'm like... I'm trying to... It seems like an insult. I'm sure they meant that as... It had to have meant that as an insult. What the hell?
And I found another review here. It said, not gonna lie, I found a pack of cookies, cheetah piss in the street, and I picked it up. Take it home, sat on it for a little bit, a little paranoid, but finally smoked it. Wait, he was paranoid before he smoked it. But finally smoked it when I was around one of my homies, and 10 out of 10 high. Everything felt clear, like I could see in 6K. Like I had a Black Magic Pocket Cinema 6K camera for eyeballs.
Not
Oh,
8K, though. 6K.
6K. Oh, I had crazy munchies. Are not gonna lie, but I did smoke an empty stomach, so... I just
Sure,
lost.
I did smoke on an empty
For
stomach.
sativa lovers, even though it's not a lot of us out there, this is an amazing strain. I feel like there's a lot of fans of sativa.
Yeah, I like sativa. I'm just not... I like indica more.
But, I mean, it's It doesn't say you would see an 8K, so
Yeah.
take that for what it's worth.
All right. Well, I wanted to bring this up real quick. Well, we've discussed the Friday the 13th, but let me fucking
Damn, you ain't even hit it yet.
word vomiting. I know. I was gonna say we've discussed the Friday the 13th show before. That's going to be on Peacock, and people actually had thought that that show was dead in the water, pun intended. But that's actually not the case. It turns out that A24 is actually continuing forward with the show. The bad news is that they're starting from scratch and going in a completely different direction, way different than originally intended. And they got rid of Ryan Fuller as the showrunner, which was part of the hype behind the show, besides Jason, because Ryan Fuller had done Hannibal. So we will get the show, but we don't know who's going to be the new showrunner yet or what to expect, what the new direction is that they're going in. I don't know how to feel about it. I'm a bit disappointed, but I guess I'm just going to wait and see how it turns out. It's Friday the 13th. I'm not going to not watch it when it comes out. I'm glad it's happening, but how do you feel about it?
Before I jump into it, I don't think it tastes like belly button lint, but it seems to have like almost a tobacco flavor to it.
Yeah, kind of strong. I
mean, I'll smoke it. It's weed.
Yeah, fuck.
But it's not going to be top tier. I don't think I'm going back for the cheetah piss.
That's straight from pisses for a while.
Yeah. I'm good on the piss strains. Anyway, Friday the 13th series, I think it's going to get canceled in the long run. It's never good when, especially horror projects keep getting pushed off. They're starting from scratch again, and they don't even have a showrunner.
Yeah. It doesn't look good.
Look, just make another movie. We'll show up, and just let our boy Vincent DeSanti direct it. He's already proven he understands the franchise.
Yeah. In other news, something that I'm excited about is that Blumhouse. What did I say? Blumhouse? Fuck.
A Blumhouse.
All right, the piss got to me. Blumhouse,
damn piss,
who really is trying to take over fucking horror in general, it seems, is developing a new My Bloody Valentine movie. Yesterday, as this podcast episode is being recorded, just yesterday, Bloody Disgusting announced that they got the exclusive drop about this. There's no other info other than letting us know that there will be a new My Bloody Valentine movie. That's it. I'm looking forward to it. It'll probably be another remake to spawn a franchise this time around. I think that's probably what they're going to do. I don't see there being a point in doing a sequel to the subpar 3D remake. So what do you think?
Blumhouse, as you call them. I just thought of this. I love my wrestling analogies. Are they like WCW? They just take the well-established stars that other people have made, get them, churn out a couple of homemade talents here. They got their Goldberg and their DDP.
Yeah.
But they got Hogan, they got Nash, they got Hall. They're bringing over big names and just living off of those franchises. Now, granted, Megan is amazing.
They got all that shit now. Exorcist, fucking.
My Bloody Valentine. It's whatever for me. I'm not really that big on the movie. I think we might even talked about that before. I don't dislike it. It's just, it's not a top tier slasher for me. So yeah, it's just kind of whatever for me at this point.
Isn't a top tier slasher. Okay, I'm gonna let that one roll off.
Hey, it's personal. It's just, that's me.
Well, all right. One more thing.
I know you love it.
One more thing I'm gonna bring up is that I'm really excited about this. James Wan, through his company Atomic Monster, is developing and producing a dark, new reimagining, is the way they're wording this, of the Munsters as a television series titled 1313, which is their home address number. I'm looking forward to this, man. I love James Wan. He hardly lets me down, and I think someone right now has to save the Munsters, because these young bulls who haven't watched the original Munsters now think that Rob Zombie piece of shit Netflix movie is what the Munsters is, and everybody fucking hated that movie. Only the fucking diehard Rob Zombie fans who fucking worship him loved that movie. That movie fucking sucked. There was no way around. That was the worst movie of that year when it came out. And I'm like, dude, as a Munsters fan, that's you got to put some respect on the Munsters. So hopefully James Wan can do this right. I think that the Munsters, they've been trying to reboot it here and there. There's been movies, they always try to keep the Munsters alive, and it usually doesn't work. But it looks like they're going to give the Munsters one more shot this time and put a real horror maestro behind it in James Wan.
Man, it's funny you bring up Rob Zombie, which I mean, it's tied to the Munsters, but I was on Bloody Disgust, or no, I think I was on Dread Central.
Okay.
And it said the worst horror movie that Rob Zombie said is the worst of all times is now available to stream on Max. So it was a list from 2014.
Okay.
It had the worst of all time he has is Dracula 2000.
It's not the worst horror movie ever, but it sucks with vitamin
Yes,
C.
I know what you did last summer.
Yeah.
He said Scream 2, and then the quote underneath said, it just seemed pointless, or maybe it was Scream 3. I don't know. It was on TV. I'm going to say it was Scream 2. I'm like, you don't even know which movie it was.
God, yeah. I see what I'm saying. People worship what he says. And
he had the Psycho remake, and he said he doesn't think it's terrible. He just, I was like, damn, I agree with him. He said it just seems pointless. Why would you remake this amazing masterpiece?
Yeah, I agree.
But Monsters, I love the Monsters. I just given up hope that anything's going to be as good as the black and white TV series.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it is James Wan, so you got a point there, but we'll wait and see. Did you see the interview John Carpenter had with The Guardian? He said he wouldn't be able to make it in today's world of filmmaking. Quote, "It was such a different time back then, and the kind of movies were different. I started when you could actually make an exploitation film, a low-budget exploitation movie, and get it into theaters. Nowadays, it's so ridiculously expensive. Could I succeed if I started today? Probably not. I'd be rejected." Do you agree with Carpenter on that?
Definitely. You can't make a John Carpenter movie nowadays the blue collar way. He'd either absolutely get no budget, or he'd get a big budget with studio execs breathing down his neck like they did with Starman. And, Starman made him so miserable after it and Christine. They were studio picture deals. After those, he was so miserable, he rebounded with Prince of Darkness just to shake that studio control feel off of him. So, yeah, I think that he's definitely onto something. I think he almost felt it back then. And I think that's kind of the whole thing. He got out right when everything started kind of late 80s, early 90s is when shit started to really go the studio way. And I think John Carpenter's way of filmmaking became non-existent.
I feel like I would like to think he would have still succeeded just because of his talent. But I think in today's world, he would be one of those directors that would just, maybe not pumping out movies, but just putting out movies on like Shudder. I feel like that would be like the level he'd be able to get to today.
That's fair, like a streaming platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Well, Johnny boy, it's time to take a look at the past and go over this week's horror history. But this time, I promise I won't interject. Movies get brought up every time that I stop and want to talk about. But this week, I'm just going to let it roll through because there's a lot to cover.
This week in horror history.
All right. I mean, hey, if you want to chime in on some of these, feel free. But we'll start on May 26th.
All right.
For births, we have Peter Cushing, 1913, 1949, Pam Grier. Damn, she was nice back in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
1966, Helena Bonham Carter. For films, 95, we have Casper. I actually saw that in theaters.
That's a classic. I remember the little hand puppets from Pizza Hut. Do you remember them? They were fucking like $1.99 back in the day, bro. Fucking glow-in-the-dark Casper
They'd probably
puppets.
be $10 today. 1998, Curse of the Puppet Master. You know, that classic.
Oh, yeah.
The 27th, for birthdays, we have 1911, Vincent Price.
1911, wow.
Funny, 1922, Peter Cushing, just the day before, separated by 9 years, Christopher Lee.
Oh, shit.
1935, Lee Merriweather. And 1958, Leanna Quigley.
The Queen.
For films, 1964, Cryptid the Vampire. 1981, we had The Monster Club and Possession.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I see this next one. Nice.
1988, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Hopefully that game gets released soon.
Yeah, right. Did you see the trailer for it, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks so good.
I think Gun Media ended up taking that over, didn't they?
Correct, yeah.
People, not fans of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I don't mind.
And I included this one just for you, 2005 Godzilla Final Wars.
I saw it in the notes just now. Yeah, hell yeah. Not my favorite Godzilla movie, but any mention of Godzilla, I'll take.
Totally unrelated to this week's horror history. I was like, I've never looked my birthday up. So I looked my birthday up. I'll be damned if Gamera the Brave, probably the best Gamera movie, was released on my birthday.
On your birthday? No shit.
Didn't even know that.
Have to make that a tradition. We should watch it next year on your birthday.
May 28th, which was actually my dad's birthday. For births, in 1933, we got Zelda of Rubinstein.
Okay.
Don't go into the light, Caroline. 1966, I saw her at a convention. I didn't get to meet her, but Ashley Lawrence.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. That's my Scream Queen. Remember we talked about that? Our Scream Queens, and you said Heather Langenkamp was yours. Ashley Lawrence was mine.
1979, we have Jesse Bradford and Monica Keena. And film's pretty barren. Just 1980, The Changeling.
I mean, that's
it makes up for it.
Yeah, it stands by itself, man.
On May 29th, for births, we have 1942, Kevin Conway, 1953, Danny Elfman, and 1956, Tony Randall. Films, 1954, Dial M for Murder, and 1968, The Living Head. And May 30th, I mislabeled this and put this as births. Fucked with me for a second. It's just films.
Okay.
Nobody notable on the 30th. 1986, Demons.
Anniversary for Demons, classic. One of my favorite Italian movies.
2003, Wrong Turn. That's one of Nicole's favorite horror movies.
It's a good movie, the first one.
Then 2008, funny enough, The Strangers. And finishing out the week on June 1st, for birthdays, we have 1937, Morgan Freeman.
Okay.
1946, Brian Cox.
Couple of classic actors here.
1977, we have two Sarah Wayne Callies. I wouldn't go with classic, but from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And Danielle Harris.
All right.
Oh, we know Danielle Harris. And films, 1958, The Revenge of Frankenstein, and 1990 got us Frankenhooker and Total Recall.
Oh, that's a hell of a run right there. The Revenge of Frankenstein, Frankenhooker, and Total Recall. Hell yeah.
So that'll wrap it up for horror history.
All right.
Let's get us into some PPA.
All right, let's do it.
Yo, man. Puff, puff, pass.
All right, it's time for Puff Puff Ask, the segment of our show where we read off messages that you listeners write into us on social media at High on Horror 420 and through our email at highonhorror420@gmail.com and, of course, our official website, highonhorror.com. I'll start. Loyal listener Beth Saunders emailed us, and she says this. I've gotten a few coworkers to check out your show, and they thought you guys were pretty funny. They really liked the Dave Sheridan episode where you reviewed Scary Movie. My question is, what do you guys think of the new news that they're moving ahead with Scary Movie 6? That's actually pretty good. Okay, well, it depends on who's doing it. Will I watch it? Probably. If the Wayans brothers are involved, I'm all over it. I fucking hope. The best case scenario is that Scary Movie 6 is a Scary Movie 3 that we never got. Like, with the Wayans brothers, I'm all about it. If this is just another, like, random people, like, just doing a fucking cash-in movie, not interested. It's going to be Dick Cheese like the rest were after, too.
Damn, Dick Cheese. I didn't think 3 was that bad, but... All right.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of any of them.
Why do we need another one? I don't need any more scary movies. Just please stop. Get some help.
1 and 2 are it. That's all you need.
Will I watch it? Like you said, probably. I'm not going to see it in theaters.
If it's a Wayans one, I'll see it. If it's Wayans Brothers, I'll see it.
We'll see. Instagram user Bloody Bathory reached out and asked if we're going to be at any conventions this year.
Oh.
I'm, I guess, doing a family trip to the one in August.
Yeah, it'll be your 9-month-old son's... He's 9 months, right?
Yeah, he's 9 now.
He's 9?
He'll be just a couple weeks short of a year.
And it'll be his second convention.
Be his third convention.
His third convention.
I was like, I said third convention. I said my third convention was like the first one I took him to. I was like, so I was already in my late 30s. Like,
yeah,
I was like,
awesome.
not even a year. You're going to be at 3.
Getting him started
First
early.
one he just slept through.
Wait,
But,
that's crazy, man. 3 already. That's awesome.
yeah, the second one, he was just waving everybody. This lady was dressed up as the tall woman from Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And she's got like the nails and everything, and she's like coming, oh my God, you're so cute. And he's just hamming it up.
So, did you or Nicole ever watch The Haunting of Hill House, the Netflix show?
I haven't, Nicole has.
Okay, so Kate Siegel, I don't know if you know who she
I think
is.
you've told me this.
I don't know if I've ever said it on here, but that's just something. She is fucking gorgeous. She's Mike Flanagan's wife in real life, and I mean, there's the celebrity. Like, I'm gonna sound sexist here, but we've talked about this before with our, you have it with your wife, and me and my wife have, where like your celebrity like 5, like if you ever had the chance, and it was a thing. You ever had the chance to be intimate with like any of these 5 celebrities, you get a free pass. She's definitely on my. She would be on my list, but that's fantasy land. It's never gonna happen. But my point is, she's absolutely, she's gorgeous, and I don't remember where I was going with that. I just totally
think
wanted to,
because I remember the story.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, okay.
I was at Monster Mania, and I'm meeting Ron Perlman. Okay, I'm in Ron Perlman's line, talking to him about Sons of Anarchy and Hellboy, and I see that my son at the time, my oldest, he was still in a stroller, and my wife's talking to someone and like laughing. And I get done meeting Ron Perlman, and I turn around, and I'm like, hey, who were you talking to? And she's like, oh, it was that chick that you have a crush on from The Haunting of Hill House. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, she loved Abel. She was all over our son. And she showed me some pictures of Kate Siegel, she actually came down from her table and just got, like, we weren't even in her line, and she just got all out from behind her table and gets down and like on her knees and starts like tickling and playing with Abel in his stroller. And I'm like, how did I miss this? How did I miss this? And
You're too busy talking about Hellboy.
I was like, Abel, you met your real mom? You finally met your real mom? But yeah, so I just, it's always cool when, kids get to have that experience. Like, I wish, like, damn, Case of Gold didn't say nothing to me. My kid got the attention, like you said, your kid's going to his 3rd convention, so it's cool to put the attention on them.
And, I'm going to the one in August. That was not able to get the Freddy VIP because that was a whole disaster. But we did get a photo op. I'm probably going to upgrade it to get everybody in there, but I'm trying to... Nicole's going because that's her favorite, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
So we already said...
which one's her favorite?
Nightmare on Elm...
The original.
Oh,
God, no, you're going to see... It's fucking 5, isn't it?
She might argue because she does... I've convinced her that New Nightmare is really good.
You convinced her? There should be no convincing.
Convinced her over, like, Freddy's Dead is, like, one of her favorites.
Oh.
That's, like, one of her top tier is Freddy's Dead. But, I already told her, I was like, so I guess in the photo, you're the one standing next to Freddy. She was like, oh, yeah. I was like, that's fine. I'll stand next to Heather Langenkamp.
He'll probably hold Yuri if you want him to. I'm sure he'd
hold
him.
I showed you we spent way more than we should have on Etsy and bought a Freddy Krueger crocheted outfit for him to wear.
I showed my wife, and she was like, oh. And I was like, yeah.
It's got like the little finger glove, and he's just busy like eating the fingers.
Why didn't you go the route that I went when I dressed Abel as Ash? Why didn't you and Nicole make his outfit? Why did you do the Etsy route? I knew you were going to say you're not going to put the effort in. You're like, fuck that.
I don't think we have the talent. So I'll pay way more than I should have on Etsy for some lady to make it for us.
There you go.
But I'm going to that one. I don't think I'll have the money. But November, of course, they're doing an Aliens reunion.
I know, man. I know. I don't think I'm going to that one either, but I would love to. But yeah, I was gonna say I'm not doing any of the big dogs this time at Monster Mania. Like, I know you're meeting Robert Englund and everything. I'm just solely focusing on finishing projects that I started already, like Claire Higgins and Andrew Robinson. They're going to complete my 1987 Hellraiser poster. That'll be like signed by everybody at that point, even Clive Barker.
Yeah, missed out on Clive too, and then he's pretty much done with conventions. So
that's right. This is his last convention, right?
We were talking about how I'm like I'll never get to see Tom Petty. We're saying, we'll never. I'm like, I guess I'll never get to meet Clive Barker because I don't think his line's going to be short at all.
Not with it being his last con, but you never know because, like with William Shatner, you may just run into him while you're there. You might just be a quick, oh shit, I got to shake his hand. It might be one of those type of things. But I'm going to meet Sosie Bacon to get a Smile poster because I have a cool limited print of Smile, so I'm going to get that signed. And like pretty much everybody on from a Nightmare on Elm Street besides Robert Englund, I'll be in their line. Is that it?
Man,
Good?
that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, thanks for writing in, guys. If anybody out there listening, all you listeners, if you have any questions for us, anything you want to reach in, you have a question, anything you want to say, whatever, write into us.
Life advice.
Yeah, seriously. You want us to recommend a movie to us, tell us our opinion, shit, whatever, bring it up. Come on, talk to us. We love interacting. Come at us on social media at highonhorror420 or email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com or visit our website at highonhorror.com. Without further ado, let's get into our review of In a Violent Nature.
All right, I'll just share the synopsis that got sent to us by Shutter and IFC. When a locket is removed from a collapsed fire tower in the woods that entombs the rotting corpse of Johnny, a vengeful spirit spurred on by a horrific 60-year-old crime, his body is resurrected and becomes hell-bent on retrieving it. The undead golem. I'd never thought of him as a golem. It's interesting. Hones in on a group of vacationing teens responsible for the theft and proceeds to methodically slaughter them one by one in his mission to get it back, along with anyone in his way. Written and directed by Chris Nash, starring today's guest Ry Barrett, Andrea Pavlich, Cameron Love, Reese Presley, Liam Leone, Charlotte Cregan, Lee Rose Sebastianis. I don't know how to pronounce.
I guess, yeah. Sam
Ralston, Alexander Oliver, and former two-time guest Lauren Marie Taylor, credited as Lauren Taylor in this one. Johnny was the victim of some pranks going wrong by some mean-spirited lumberjacks.
Yep.
After some execs show up at camp, they're found torn to pieces. So the company threw money at it, made it all disappear. A cop who investigated it claims that he saw a man in a mask watching from the woods. Which my question is, why wouldn't the cop go investigate that?
Yeah, right.
Maybe probably be like us.
He was a movie cop,
you know what? I've seen too many killers in the woods. I'm going to let this go and never come back.
Just an incompetent movie cop. You know how cops are in movies.
Nobody's as bad as the Halloween 5 cops.
Yeah.
In the present day, some kids were on his land and stole it from him. If creepy killers in the woods have taught us anything, it's not going to go well for these teens. Yeah. Well, I guess, are they Well, I feel like...
Young adults, yeah. early 20s, mid 20s, yeah.
Well, I guess it does say in the synopsis teens.
Okay. Fair enough.
When the guy is sitting around the campfire telling the legend of the White Pines Massacre, it felt very Friday the 13th Part 2, which also has a tie-in with Lauren Taylor. I like Chris Nash's commitment to linger on some shots, and I think they work better that way, instead of constantly cutting. It, to me, makes the film flow more freely. I feel like a lot of other directors might not have shown that restraint. He
definitely had a vision, and that's why he had that restraint. He knew exactly what the shot was that he needed for this vision and this story that he wanted to tell.
Yeah, and let's talk about Johnny's look. That mask is creepy as fuck, and I like it. He's dirty as fuck. His fingers look like hot dogs when they've been sitting on them rollers too long at 7-Eleven. And I mean that in a great way. Like, they look fucked up. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you walk into a 7-Eleven, you like, I want a hot dog. You look over at the rollers, you like,
for like 8 hours, bro. Yeah.
I'm good.
No, I didn't find the mask creepy. It wasn't creepy to me. I think it's cool looking, but I didn't find it scary. I think Johnny as an entire package is very intimidating and scary, but I think the mask was just badass looking. I think Johnny, here's one for you. Johnny reminds me of Babyface from The Hills Run Red, and fuck, that was such a good movie. But I think...
I thought about watching that the other day when I was scrolling through my Vudu.
I think it's the get-ups, but their get-ups remind me of each other, and I think The Hills Run Red would actually make a good double bill with this. Also... in a Behind the Mask reminds me a lot of In a Violent Nature. It's like In a Violent Nature was like the rise of Leslie Vernon, but without the humor and brutality. Because it's like, it's kind of...
That's a good... Yeah.
Yeah.
And not with the fake documentary going on.
Exactly,
I was going to say, he kind of reminds me of Jason from Part 6.
Totally.
Like, he just looks wet.
Just zombie Jason.
Wet and just like...
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe
Soppy,
it.
just wet and soppy looking,
Slogging through
yeah.
his movements.
Slogging.
I can't think of the word.
But I'd like to point out before all of you go see it this weekend that campfire scene where the campers are telling Johnny's story that you brought up, that was done in one take. I paid close attention, and that is one seamless, beautiful take. And if it's not, if there's an edit in there, like a cut, I'd consider it even more perfect because it's just so seamless. If there's a cut hidden in there, then Chris Nash is a magician. That is just a really well done shot.
I was going to say, and I have no basis to go on, I'm just widely speculating. I feel like if you ask Chris Nash his favorite scene in horror history, it would be the opening scene of Halloween. Because I feel like we got that a lot through the movie, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. Like, I like how it flowed that way, but
just
a lot of it...
Just take in the environment, right?
And just take your time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hyped for this movie the second I saw the trailer. I mean, we didn't even wait to see if they offered it. I jumped in, hey, we need to see this. Johnny's a tour de force. He's strong as fuck. The kills are fantastic. There's several that could be up there for kill of the film, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The cinematography's on point. I mentioned the lingering shots before, but also the perspective from where they're shot is top-notch as well. I like how it plays on your expectations. Kind of the way the original Halloween does. You think you know when shit's about to hit the fan, but most times you're wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. This contains all the ingredients of what a slasher should be. It's a fun ride. That's all you need from a slasher film. This film knows its audience, and it doesn't insult them. Being told almost exclusively from Johnny's POV is a nice touch as well. I'm going to give the film an 8.6 out of 10. I hope there's like a steel book for this because I'm pre-ordering that day one.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of crazy artwork on some physical releases of that. That's a good point, actually.
And maybe some deleted scenes. Especially when it gets talked about in the interview. I'd be interested to see that as a deleted scene.
If they have that, yeah, it would be great.
Yeah, if they still have it.
If they kept the footage. Well, I was actually planning on seeing this in theaters when I first heard about it. A coworker of mine and I were talking about it, and we were going to see it in theaters together. We actually walked up to each other on break to show each other the trailer at the same time. And then he was super jealous when I told him that we already got to see it thanks to IFC hooking us up. He was like, "What the fuck, dude?" I was like, "Yeah, you're going to be going to the movies by yourself now, bud." But, I want to say that there's one thing about slasher films that In a Violent Nature calls out, and that is who the fuck cares about the dialogue. Besides a few key scenes here and there in movies like Halloween, you can't really recite any slashers line for line. I know I can't. You know, I'm not saying other people can't, but someone, me, 37 years old, has been watching horror movies like my whole life and just love the slasher genre more than anything. I can't remember dialogue for the movies for the most part. I can't tell you what they fucking joke around about in Sleepaway Camp when they're the fucking dudes wearing those fucking ridiculous short shorts, or what happens on what they're talking about in the boat in the burning before they get killed. You know, like I don't remember the dialogue for the most part. In slasher movies, you remember the killer and the kills and the meat and potatoes. You don't really remember conversations, you know, and due to Johnny always hanging back and stalking from afar, you only hear what he hears, you know, giggles and laughs and high talking, low talking, but nothing that's really audible because no one cares and it doesn't matter. They're going to be dead soon anyway, so why bother even trying with character development? I love how this movie gets right to the point and shows you how a slasher killer gets the job done from his perspective. It's well shot. The special effects are wild. It's paced nicely. It ends on a note that I'd be happy with or without a sequel. It doesn't reinvent the slasher genre like some are saying, but it does bring a new perspective to the slasher genre that somehow has just gone untapped. Besides Behind the Mask, I really can't think of any other movie like this. The yoga kill is fucking insane. Legit one of the top kills of any slasher movie ever. Absolutely insane. As a slasher fan, I'm satisfied. If you're new to the slasher genre and you're doing your homework and you're learning your history and you're watching the ones that are landmarks and learning why they've become landmarks, add In a Violent Nature to your stack of homework. It belongs in the same homework pile as The Burning and The Prowler and Death Screams and Silent Madness, Prom Night, etc. I give it an 8.5 out of 10.
It's funny. You were saying it doesn't... I didn't read your review. And two things. Okay. Because I was trying to keep mental notes. Well done, because I was going to call you out about who cares about the dialogue in the slasher movie. I was going to be like, Halloween? Like, that's one of the best parts. It's Loomis, and then I heard you go right into it. I'm like, oh, yeah. But you said it doesn't reinvent the slasher genre like some have said.
Yeah.
It's funny because Raz is the one who told me about the trailer. And then I was telling him, I was like, oh, we got a screener. And he asked me about it. I said, it's nothing groundbreaking,
Yeah.
but it is an amazing slasher movie.
Agreed. Done from just a fresh take that you're just not used to. And it's like, damn, when there's countless slashers out there and you're watching one and you're like, it's kind of like Godzilla -1, right? When you're like, how the fuck are we 33, 34 movies into the series and you're making the best one still?
Yeah.
How the fuck are we this far along after the slasher genre has been alive, dead, alive,
the
dead?
80s,
And now
90s.
somebody does something like, damn, hadn't done that before. That's pretty cool, you know? Definitely.
All right. So I guess let's get Ry Barrett on here and talk to him more about the movie.
Hell yeah, let's do it. Today's guest is known for his roles in the films Cult Hero, Open Your Eyes, and Dangerous Rumors. He's the star and antagonist Johnny in a Violent Nature, and we are thrilled to have him. Welcome, Ry Barrett. Thanks for being on High on Horror.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
And obviously you're on High on Horror, so we have to ask the obvious question. Do you partake in the devil's lettuce?
I do actually. I got a little bit of something
Hell
here
yeah.
that I've been
Nice.
nibbling on, so I got ready for you.
And are edibles the favorite, or are they your favorite way to consume?
They are these days. They are. I used to smoke a lot when I was younger, but I tend to stick to the edibles now. I kind of like the feeling a little better too, and I find I can control it for the most time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's usually the response we get on edibles. You already know how many milligrams you're getting ahead of time.
Yep.
Exactly. I don't know. I usually get these things called moon rocks, so they're a lot more
Yeah.
measured. But the gummies are always like you have half. These ones are 50 milligrams each. So it's sometimes you have the strong end and sometimes you have the weak end. So you just never know.
And now, do you think maybe Johnny would have chilled out a little bit if he did have some weed?
He might, maybe. I don't know though. I don't know if that would even affect him.
All right, well, I guess going into your career, I just wanted to know what got you into the movie making life. You know, like you look up your IMDb, we see you're an actor, you're a producer, you've pretty much done a little bit of everything. You've done stunts. How old were you when you knew, like, hey, I want to be an actor?
Well, I've always been a huge film fan, horror, classic cinema, like noir and westerns. I kind of just love everything. So I always kind of grew up in that area, but I never, growing up in Guelph, Ontario, it's like a mid-sized town city in Canada here, an hour and a bit outside of Toronto. So I kind of never really thought that at that time that film or making movies could be a possibility. But I always took drama, I took communications, and we were fucking around with editing and shooting little horror movies and stuff as when we were younger, teenagers and stuff. And then my friends actually, they went to film school and they wanted to shoot a film just to kind of figure out how to do it and do it with next to no money and kind of figure it all out. And they asked me to meet up with them. And I thought they were going to ask me to do some behind the scenes stuff, but they wanted me to play the lead in it. So I was like, sure. Let's do it. And it was kind of like a rip off Evil Dead kind of movie. We shot on DV cameras right when the digital cameras were kind of coming out. So we were one of these few that did that. And because there were so few of us, or so few movies out there like that, there was no competition. So we got picked up by Lionsgate and the movie got distributed worldwide. It was like right at the time when VHS was switching over to DVD. It would have been, we shot it in 2002 and I think it came out 2004 or 2005. Okay. So it kind of, it did a lot more than we ever expected it to. And we thought we were going to be fucking rich and famous after that. And so we all were like, oh, we got to keep doing this. So everyone jumped into it. And everyone who made that movie kind of went on to do other things. And we all still work together sometimes. We're still friends. So that was just a really cool experience. And then it's taken a lot longer to kind of get to this point, but we've been making movies the whole time.
That's incredible. So you could say it's probably something, or it's something that you've kind of wanted to do since you were a kid. Like as soon as you knew that it was something that it was a possibility, like you said, to be a career, you're like, hey, why not? And then you got the opportunity with that movie you were just talking about. So it's like foot in the door. Let's roll with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was never something I thought that I could pursue, and nothing I was even really told to go after in school. It was just kind of one of those things that I was like, I love that stuff, but I like that's a pipe dream sort of thing. And then all of a sudden that happened, and it was sort of this. Yeah, it was a foot in the door, and it kind of just got us all addicted to what it all was right off the bat.
That's awesome. And you had mentioned that you liked watching westerns and all films. I do too, but horror was always my forte. And obviously, you said you watched horror, so this movie, in my opinion, In a Violent Nature, is a clear love letter to the Friday the 13th series. And I just wanted to know what your favorite slasher is and what your favorite Friday the 13th film is.
That's hard because there's so many, and I got to the fun part about playing this role and doing this movie is I got to go back and revisit and like study all these ones and then find other films that I had never seen before. But I think like there's a couple of classics in there. Like the tops for me would probably be The Burning, My Bloody Valentine, and Black Christmas, and obviously Halloween.
Of course.
But then, yeah, I'm a huge Friday fan too of the entire series. I don't know, it kind of constantly changes which is my favorite, but probably part 6 is currently my favorite. It's just a fun movie.
Yes.
It's self-aware. It's it's just a fun one, and it's done really well. It's got a good budget, and I don't know. But it might be part 3 next month.
No, that makes total sense. That's how it is with Friday the 13th fans. It doesn't seem to be that way with Halloween fans. It's always like the original, or there's like somebody who likes part 4 here and there. But with Friday the 13th, it's the same with me. Like part 4 is my favorite, but then like next week I might go back and be like, nah, you know what? Like 2 years ago when I said part 7 was my favorite, I think I like part 7 more again. It's like one of those.
Yeah.
It kind of changes out depending on your mood. And John's favorite's always been part 6, so you just won some points there.
Nice. I do love 7 too. 7's a lot of fun. It's one of the underrated ones. It's funny too because this is my water bottle. So.
Oh, excellent! There you go. Well, like you said, you watched other movies, including the Friday the 13th movies, like movies you haven't even seen before. What other movies? Like, what are some slashers that you watched to prepare for this character?
I watched. I always mix up the one title. Just Before Dawn.
Oh yeah, okay.
I always want to say Dead by Dawn. Just Before Dawn was a big one. Rituals, which was actually shot in the same area that we shot In a Violent Nature, and it's kind of a different sort of slasher. It's not necessarily about the slasher stalking thing. It's kind of more about the presence.
Interesting.
And it's a survival film too. And The Final Terror was one I had never seen that actually up until I was watching. So those were some new ones that I got to kind of really dive into and revisit.
Yeah, Final Terror was a pretty good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
What was there any input that Chris Nash gave you about the character besides like you studying like the slasher genre and trying to like put Johnny together? Did he say, "Hey, try and do your own thing with it," or was he like did he want specific things? Like what directions were you given from him?
A lot of it was it had to be a recognizable figure with the movements, and it's kind of why it's designed to look as a recognizable, like within the Friday the 13th area, the burning and that stuff, so that the audience can kind of just jump right into the film. And then the other big parts were all about timing, just because of the way that the film flows and how it moves into the special effects sequences, the kill scenes. So it all kind of it was all these puzzle pieces that all had to fit together. And then as far as making Johnny kind of unique in any sort of way, it was kind of he let me he said look at these things and show me some films and stuff, and then kind of let it up to me to add any little tweaks there, and then we'd tweak those on the day if they weren't working, or he'd throw something at me. But one of the things I did was because it's part of the film too in a bit of a way. I watched a lot of animal attack videos. Specifically bear attack videos, and just to kind of get some ideas for movements and how quickly animals kind of switch. They're moving serenely through the woods and through nature, and then when they go into attack mode, they're just a completely other animal, and the way that they move and everything. So that's kind of something that I was trying to channel.
Yeah, and talking about movement, all the slasher movies, we know there's a lot of walking. We don't actually see it. But we see Johnny doing a lot of walking in this film. Was that tiring at all, just doing just so much walking?
There were some days, like the terrain up there can be pretty rough. Like you're up and down hills and there's roots and stuff, and you got the mask on and everything. So you're trying to make the character look consistent and not like trip on any of these stuff or screw up our cinematographer Pierce, because he's basically almost tied to me through the whole thing, and I had to make it. We had to stay that distance and stuff. So yeah, some days it was tiring. For the most part, it was nice actually, just walking through that area of around just outside of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. The days that were a little harder were the hotter days, just wearing the layers of the suit and the mask, and then the flies, the black flies, and the mosquitoes that were fucking insane for certain days. So that was worse for the crew, I'd say, and the other cast who weren't wearing layers that I had on. But it created some problems that people weren't expecting, sort of thing. But yeah, it wasn't too exhausting. It's it's like any other thing. When you do the action sequences, you get your time to kind of rest in between and gather back up.
I have to say that I have Gene Simmons' mentality when it comes to being outside and camping. It's like, I pay for a mortgage. Why am I going to stay outside? So the whole thing about I don't go camping, and the whole thing with you saying the mosquitoes and the bugs, that just, to me, that would probably have made me had an awful day. So, kudos to you for trumping it out.
Yeah, they were, well, especially too, like there's a certain time of the year where they turn, like they're there, but they don't bother you. And then all of a sudden they just turn and they started like just biting everybody. And the fake blood and all that stuff that was on set was, that just helps with the clouds of them coming.
Of course.
But everyone had nets on and spray on. And I actually had a net on underneath my mask for the really bad days. And then I had spray on, but then you start sweating. And while you're walking, it starts dripping into your eyes and stinging and basically blinding you. So there were some of the walking scenes, I actually had my eyes closed and was just trying to walk in a straight line and not fall over.
Indie horror at its finest, right?
Yeah.
What was the vibe like on set, man? Like movies like that, now obviously we're a positive podcast. I'm not trying to get you to shit talk or nothing. I'm just asking, like, when you have an independent movie like that, it's usually fast paced because of the scheduling. Was it a cool like vibe where was everybody chill, or was it like relentless in work and just like, let's grind this out?
It was pretty chill. Like there's always days where the tougher days are doing the special effects and pulling everything together. And there's some crazy camera setups. There's the overhead aerial shot. That was a lot of work for the crew. Those days were, I'd say, tougher for crew and longer. I had it pretty easy. Everyone was always kind of taking care of me and watching me. And I was in the suit for a lot of the time, so I couldn't really do a lot in between. I had the hands. Those are like silicone hand gloves that are on. But once they're covered in blood and everything, you can't really do anything. So you just kind of sit there and chill out. But overall, like the crew and the cast on this one we were lucky. Everybody was super cool. We all hung out afterwards. We were all staying at the same hotel, so we went and did like karaoke afterwards and hung out. So it was a really good vibe.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. That's awesome. I'm glad that it wasn't like excruciating or grueling. When you read the script, was Nash up front with you about like the gore and brutality and what he was trying to achieve? And how were you receptive of that info? Like, were you psyched? Like, yeah, this is going to be fun, or were you like, I don't know about this?
Yeah, no, I was really excited actually because so they got in touch with me and they had already. The film was actually, part of it was shot, and they had a bunch of issues happen, and they had to go back and reevaluate, and they decided to reshoot everything. So I don't. It was probably at least 50%, but I think it was even more than that. So I had a meeting with Chris and Shannon, one of our other producers, and we just sat down and they kind of explained the whole situation. And they said at that time, it wasn't sure if we're going to be shooting the whole thing, but they said they wanted me to step in and fully play Johnny. And then Chris basically started explaining exactly what the film was. And we watched a couple films together to kind of get what the idea of the perspective was. And then and he sent me the script, and I was already aware of Chris's work because I don't know if you guys have seen his short that's a part of ABCs of Death too. He did Z is for Zygote. It's the one where the baby stays past term and grows into a man inside of the mother. So
I didn't know that was him, but
that.
I did see that.
Yeah. So that's him, and I was always a huge fan of that. I love that short. I thought it was crazy. And so when I read the script and read all the detailed, like the kills were exactly how you see them in the film. Like they were listed, and I was like, this is so fucking cool. I just really hope they do it, because like a lot of scripts have crazy things in them, but then it's a lot harder to pull off on camera. And they actually did. They what's in the script is on camera, and if not, it's even more brutal than what is written.
No shit. I was going to ask you, actually, my next question was there anything that didn't make it into the movie because it was too explicit?
There was only one scene, and it's not cut out of the movie. We started shooting it. There's a specific scene, so no spoilers, but it's the ranger scene. That scene went on for about another 4 or 5 sequences, I guess. Like they cut it down because when we started shooting it, it was so explicit and so like gnarly to begin with that we got to a certain point and there was just blood everywhere, and Chris was just kind of like, yeah, we don't need to do the rest of it. He's like, it's already we can skip to this part, because it would have gone on for like another 5 minutes probably. So like it made sense to cut that one, just for, I think, for pacing issues and just you get the point. It's a gnarly scene. That's the only thing that I think was kind of taken out.
And do you have a favorite kill from the film?
I do. Well, I know it's hard because I keep getting asked this, and like right off the bat, I started saying on the cliff, the yoga kill, just because it's so. When I read the script, I was like, that was the one I was excited for, just to see it happen, and it was the one that was like line for line exactly what happens in it. And I love the moment of like Johnny at the end, just kind of standing there and like reveling in what he just did and just looking off into the distance. It's like a creepy moment. But each kill in it, for like, even I've watched it 3 times now, and each kill still has its own kind of cool moment and a bit of a magic to it. So it's like, it's hard to say that, but that scene is the one that I think everyone's already talking about and will talk about after seeing it. But I think there's a few of them that people will talk about too.
Agreed.
Yeah, the yoga cliff scene, like, it's pretty prominent in all the trailers, and no spoilers, but it's way worse than what you think it's going to be.
It just keeps going, right?
Yeah, and it's also because it's so early, so you don't have any expectation as to what's going to happen, and then you're like, okay, it's done. Oh no, it's going further. oh, it's still not done. Oh, there's more to it still.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the hardest scene to pull off?
Probably, I mean, between that one and the overhead, the aerial scene, just because there's so many moving parts for both of those. Like the one, like the cliff scene with the yoga death, is that actually was shot between, like, there was like a year in between, because we shot it leading up to the kill point, but then we weren't gonna have enough time. Like, we were losing light. We weren't gonna have enough time to do the effect, or like it would have been cut short. It wouldn't have been what it is. So we actually had to wait and come back the following year and do all the effect shots and all that. So they matched the actual like vista and the look of everything to what was shot before, and then they did all that, and then all the effects were shot then, and all that stuff. So that was a big one for sure. And then the overhead aerial, that was all timing, and the camera had to be in the right spot and following the characters at the right time and all that stuff too. So those were probably the more technical things.
Yeah. Now my favorite scene, just from a cinematography point, is that shot on the lake. I really enjoyed the perspective and how it was filmed. Is it kind of like your favorite kill? Like, do you have a favorite scene and it just kind of like changes day to day?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, every time I watch it, I'm just like, I know I said that's my favorite kill scene or scene in it, and then I watch the movie again. I'm kind of like, you know what? Actually, I like this part now. I'm focusing on different moments of each thing. So I think it's cool for horror fans to watch that, because it is a film that you can come back to and rewatch. And it's also almost, I feel like it's a film that you could, like this Halloween, I want to go to a Halloween party where it's playing in the background at a bar or something like that. Like I could see it playing at a party kind of thing.
Absolutely. Spoiler, we do get a full face shot of Johnny without the mask on. And I just wanted to ask you, how long was that makeup process? For the face,
That probably took, I think it was about 3 hours. It was Steve Kostanski who designed a lot of the kills, the body designs and stuff with Chris. He was on the day for that.
Psycho Gorman? Steve Kostanski?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. So he's done a ton of special effects. He's shooting a new movie right now, and he's a wizard with that stuff. So him and Chris together, like it's like the super team of special effects guys. Anyway, he was there the day. So it's like, so Johnny has, when the mask is off, there's the bald head is like a cowl. So it like goes over my head, comes down to about here. And there's an open face. And then he did all the makeup and then seams it into the head part so that you can't tell. And then there's teeth, and they did some after effects with the eyes, and there's all sorts of prosthetic pieces on there and stuff. So it's about 3 hours, and then he had to keep retouching it up too because it was so hot and sweaty. And when you start moving it, he made it so that I could move my face around to have some emotion. But the thing is, when you're sweating like that, it starts to come off. So he had to keep kind of adding glue and tapping it in. But it was for that one scene, and I'm glad that they had that because it was great. And I loved being able to actually have show some emotion with Johnny. And it's been a scene that a few people have mentioned too. So
really besides cool. My favorite kill, which is the yoga, my favorite scene in the movie is that scene, because that's the one scene where you get to see Johnny kind of not be intense for a minute, kind of like almost revert back to childhood, and you're like, damn, like he's not that bad of a guy if you just get, well, he is, but but he's not. You know what I'm saying? But
that's the trick. It kind of plays on the audience too, because you just saw him do this horrific stuff, and then you see him and you kind of feel for him, and you're like, oh, but he's just this tortured, bullied kid, and he's taken. Then he goes and does more horrible stuff, and it's like, well, but it lets you have that feeling.
Yeah, right. An obvious question: will Johnny be back? With the current rave reviews I'm getting, man, I'm thinking we're going to see him again.
Well, I mean, it's a hard question, and people keep asking it too, because it's kind of a film designed to not have a sequel, kind of like the original Halloween. It's sort of, I don't want to spoil, but it's supposed to kind of have that sort of feeling to it, the way that it ends. But if there's demand for it and people want to do it, and there's the right idea for it, and Chris wants to do it, I'll 100% be back for Johnny if they want me to do it, because it was a lot of fun to play him, and this film is just kind of taken off, and it's a crazy trip.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, I could totally see it like Halloween. And Halloween, honestly, with the rest of the series, John and I have talked before about. I kind of think it would have been okay at this point in time if they really would have just left it alone at one. You know what I mean? So I can kind of see it with what you're saying, where I could see leaving it be and not coming back to it for that reason. But there's that, like, man, people are loving it, and when they love something, they want more of it. So it's like, there's that tug and pull, that tug and pull. Is there anything that you would maybe like want to bring to the character if you thought, like, if I come back and get to play this role again, is there anything like you're like, I want to do this, or any ideas you have of things you'd want to do, like, or dynamic emotionally, or any type of like anything really?
The only thing I've kind of really thought, because somebody asked that, and I know Chris had an idea for something, and that I think was almost like a prequel maybe idea, and like that could work too, which I also think could be really interesting. And then the other idea that I had that just kind of popped up to me when somebody asked me, because I was just kind of thinking about it too. I was like, I'd love to see Johnny go after like developers that were coming onto his land or something, and just destroy a corporation or something like that. Individually, I don't know. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the ride, and if I get asked to do anything for that, I'm on board for it.
And does it make you proud that you were able to make someone throw up at a screening?
Yeah, that's a badge of honor for sure for any horror geek. if I didn't see it, and we've actually done some investigating to try and see if we can find the person who it was. But I talked to a couple of people who were at the Chicago screening where it happened, and they said that they heard people in the lobby saying that somebody had to go clean it up because somebody threw up and this,
No
that,
shit.
whatever. So apparently it happened, and yeah, that's crazy. And I'm assuming it's at the scene that we're probably thinking it's at. I think it's probably the yoga the yoga scene.
It's always something you could slap on your resume, like made somebody vomit.
Exactly.
And we want to thank you again for taking the time to speak with us. And before we get out of here, do you have any upcoming projects you'd like to talk about?
I've got a couple things coming up. There's a film called The Hyperborean that was just touring festivals. That'll be coming out shortly. That's with the Collingwood film team. I've shot a couple things with them. We did another film called Cult Hero. It's available now to stream. I think that it's probably on Prime. I think in the States and in Canada, a few spots. There's a film called The Chamber of Terror that's coming out very shortly too. It's another horror comedy directed by Michael Pereira. Try not to. And there's a couple other things that haven't been announced that I don't know if I'm allowed to say things about. And yeah.
Damn active.
Oh yeah, we shot another one called Last Anniversary too at the beginning of this year too. So that should be coming out. I don't know. That might be a year away still. So.
And where can people keep up with you online to stay up to date with your projects?
Just you can search me on Instagram, the Ry Barrett, or Facebook. I'm on TikTok too now because everybody seems to be on there too now. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not on. I guess I am on social media a lot more right now, just because I'm trying to help promote stuff and sharing stuff. But I don't have a lot of different outlets.
All right. Again, yeah, we want to thank you for coming on to talk with us. Everybody needs to check out In a Violent Nature when it comes out on Shudder.
And in theaters.
Yeah.
And in theaters.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, May 31st. It's in theaters across the U.S. and in Canada. I don't know the specifics of where exactly, but it'll be playing at Cineplexes in Canada and at AMC, I think, in the States.
Excellent. All right, well, thanks again for coming on. And hopefully we'll talk to you down the road.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. Thank you to Ry Barrett for joining us today. And I'll tell you what we're maybe going to do next week. I already know you're like, I thought this was supposed to be Saw X. Well, you're welcome. We did this one instead. Look, it's like a UFC card. You see it announced. You know there's going to be a couple fighters pulling out, and some of them fights are going to get changed. So whenever we tell you what we're doing next week, that is the plan.
It's subject to change, though.
But how many times? Well, what was the movie we advertised like 5 times and never did it?
That was Exorcist, but we actually finally got it done. It kept getting pushed back and pushed back.
Advertise that.
We kept getting messages about it too because people wanted to hear us vent about it. So yeah, it was funny.
So okay, so it's either going to be Saw X or The Strangers Part 1,
or possibly even Five Nights at Freddy's.
Or that's Five Nights at Freddy's is
that's
also
one we're
on the
behind
list.
on.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's. I'll probably mention this again when we do it, but as I was telling you, the children's version of Willy's Wonderland, that was the adult version of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yep.
But anyway, we've said it multiple times. High on Horror 420, Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, all them shits. High on Horror 420 gmail.com. Send us some PPA questions. highonhorror.com, our website. Check that shit out too.
Check that shit out.
I feel like I said shit a lot. I feel like
you
this
kind
is
of went real gangster at the end here. You was like, check that shit out, you know.
Listen, I think this, by far, I know Josh is going to be too lazy to count this up.
Our producer, editor Josh, yeah.
But this has to be the highest number of piss and shit said in an episode. It's got to be.
Maybe it's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible. Leave it to a slasher episode for us to bring
And
out
the cheetah piss.
the piss and the shits. You know,
Which referenced the cat piss. So now, by me recapping that, I'm bringing up the piss and shit levels. Levels. Anyway,
that's how you know it's time to wrap it up.
What do I say again? Oh yeah, catch yous later.
All right, hit those like and subscribe buttons if you like this episode, please. It helps a lot, and I will see you all next week.